Hello, welcome to episode number 300 and I think 73 of the TEW 2020 Challenge Run. This is going to be SmackDown for week 1 of June 2023, and we are here continuing the road to, well, not continuing actually, starting the road to Money in the Bank. Well, I guess continuing in terms of Raw and SmackDown, but this is SmackDown's first show since Starrcade. And yeah, we've got 4 Money in the Bank qualifying matches here tonight. We got, on the men's side, LA Knight, Angel Garza and Damian Priest in a triple threat, and Bronson Steiner, Mustafa Ali and Nathan Fraser in the other triple threat. And then for the women's side, we've got 2 singles matches. One's Tiffany Stratton against Kairi Sane, and the other is Bayley against Florence in the main event. And we also have a SmackDown Tag Team title match. Bryan and Cesaro defend against the Grand Juries, Emerson Frost and Ken Cobain. And we have Omos versus Sanga, the best match of the night. Without any more further ado, let's jump straight into the show. Hello. Quick editor's note here before we start SmackDown. It's come to my attention, and somehow I completely overlooked this, right up until the video uploaded, and I got a comment. I never booked Carmelo Hayes versus Kevin Owens for Starrcade, for the world title. So, that sort of makes everything a bit weird going forward. So just pretend it happened and that Melo won. Please? Thank you. The World Heavyweight Champion Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, they open up the show. And Melo's like, see what I tell y'all, when I said I don't miss, I meant that I don't miss. Okay, me and you, we've known each other for a while now. So when I call my shot, that shot's being delivered on. Okay? When I won Money in the Bank last year, I said I'm going to cash this in and become World Heavyweight Champion, yet here I stand, World Heavyweight Champion. I said I was going to beat John Cena at WrestleMania. What did I do? I beat John Cena. I cashed this in, I became the champion. I beat Kevin Owens at WrestleMania, at Starrcade. And now, I get to call the shots still around here, because this is my show. As long as I have this championship over my shoulder, this is my show, and there ain't a damn person on this show that can tell me any different. So now, we're going ahead to Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank is an event that means a lot to me. I got my big break last year, winning Money in the Bank. And obviously this year, London, I ain't going to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match, because I've got this to defend. I'm going to go to Money in the Bank, and I'm going to prove to everybody what happens, and you're smart and great about having your briefcase. Okay? So it doesn't matter who back there wants to call their shot, because they're getting put straight back down. You come at the king, you best not miss, okay? So who wants a shot at the king? Burn it down! Out comes Seth Rollins. Like, you see, Melo, I couldn't sit back there and watch you yabber on for one more second, because you say there is one thing that you said that I do agree on. It's that the guy who holds the World Heavyweight Championship, that guy calls the shots around here on Raw. Or SmackDown, even. But there's one exception, and that exception is me. You see, because of me, we don't see Roman Reigns in the bloodline around here anymore. Because of me, this show is now the best show to be on. Okay, so I've called the shots here on SmackDown, whether you've got the gold or not. So it only seems like a formality that the next in line for a shot at that championship, Melo, you're looking at him. Camilla goes, okay, Seth, you talk a big game, you do. And you probably are, the biggest star here on SmackDown. The whole world seems to revolve around Seth freaking Rollins around here on this show. But here's my question for you, Seth. If you're as good as you say you are, why am I standing here the World Heavyweight Champion today? I'm serious. Last year, Money in the Bank was your big opportunity, right? You were supposed to go to Money in the Bank. You were supposed to win that briefcase, cash it in on Roman Reigns, and end this little charade. You could have done that months earlier, Seth. SummerSlam with Cody, all of that could have been nothing but a memory, a false alternate timeline. But you didn't, Seth. 'Cause you didn't win Money in the Bank last year, did you? You know who beat you? You're looking at him. You're looking at him. So, I'd be then fast forward to SummerSlam. Of course, there you had another chance to get this briefcase, and once again, who put your ass in the ground? It weren't Roman Reigns. It weren't Cody Rhodes. It was me. So, if you want to step up, come at the King, and want to get put down, embarrassed yet again, Seth, in London, you're on. I'll see your ass there. But first, and then Tricky takes the mic as, but first of all, before you even get stepping to Mello for this World Heavyweight Championship, you and I, we got a little beef to solve, Seth Rollins. You want to step to the champ? You got to go through me. Tricky Willet's going to put you down before you even get the chance to wrestle Mello, okay? Because I'm about it. And Seth's like, well, okay, I'm in my gear, you're in your gear, let's do this right now. So, Mello and Seth, you know, there's a built-in story here. It's a match I desperately wanted to run back once I knew Mello was winning the belt. And I'm sort of on the fence here because, you know, I didn't fully want to turn the Bloodline face, but Seth was clearly the heel there. That's the same with Carmelo here. Seth's like you're still supposed to hate him. He's the top heel, but like, he's feuding with heels exclusively. Like, it's so weird. Apart from Cody, every single point, like, Roman was still technically a heel. Mello is still technically a heel, but they both got to play tweener, I guess, because Seth's an asshole. So yeah, we get Trick Williams against Seth Rollins. Gets an 85. I literally only booked this match because I used the promise of Tricky beating Sammy last week, and I wanted to see how far that took him along. And he gets an 85. Well, with Seth. Seth carries him. I was going to say out of Seth Rollins, but no, realistically, Seth gets an 85 out of him. But yeah, 13:53. Tricky puts up a good showing, but in the end, the curb stomp is what puts Tricky in the ground. 96 for Seth, 66 for good old Tricky. And yeah, Seth and Carmelo Hayes, you know, a rematch from SummerSlam last year. Last year was for the Money in the Bank briefcase. This year, it's for the World Heavyweight Championship in London in just over 2 weeks. You know, these pay-per-views are coming thick and fast. You know, it's been 5 weeks. Once Money in the Bank comes around, it's been 5 weeks since Judgment Day. There have been 3 pay-per-views in that time span. So yeah. We then come backstage to see Bayley, Dakota, and Cora. And they're guessing Bayley up for tonight's main event. She's like, you know, Florence came over here. She thinks she's going to run this division here on SmackDown. We're going to remind her who the champ was, okay? Bayley goes, well, tonight is my big night. But next week, you know, it's a big week for all of us here in Damage Control. Because tonight in that main event, once I beat that big idiot Florence and I punch my ticket to Money in the Bank, okay, that's only one of us in. Next week, you two are going to get your opportunities to qualify. And once we all get in, because we will all get in, that's a good chunk of the match under our control. What we've got to do is just work together. Let me win the briefcase, and then we can all be Miss Money in the Bank. Because when one person in Damage Control wins, we all win. So yeah, quick. Just hype segment for Bayley against Florence, which is our main event tonight. Because, fuck it, let's run with that as the main event. Why not? We then got backstage to Ilya Dragunov. And Kayla's like, you know, last week, Seth Rollins, you know, you took Seth Rollins to his limit, you know, continuing your streak of, like, showing out here on SmackDown. So, what's next for the Russian? And he goes, you know, Kayla, of course, I would have loved to have beaten Seth Rollins, but I think my match last week did its job with Adam Pearce, because next week I will be in a Money in the Bank qualifier, and that is where I will truly cement myself as the future World Heavyweight Champion here on SmackDown. It doesn't matter which opponent I'm up against, because I'm tougher and I can take whichever beating from anybody. And then we hear laughter from off screen. Invokes Karrion Kross. Nice little speech there, kid. And he's still got Carcass and Cutler's little tarot cards in his hand. It's like, you know, I think I proved last weekend that dreams, they're meant to be crushed. This sick plastic world, you don't get what you want. Oftentimes you don't get what you want.
Because this world is cruel, and it's full of suffering, and it's made to break you down to the point of no return. That's what this cruel world did to me. That's what drove me to this point. And now, I'm stronger than ever. Goldberg is history. Soon he'll join my friends in the afterlife. But kid, if you think there's no pain that can put you down, step to me next week, and I'll prove to you that that pain, the suffering of this cruel plastic world, it's very real. And trust me, it's nothing personal, because everybody feels the same suffering when they step to me.
And then Karrion walks off, and Ilya's like, guess I've got to beat that guy. 82, that's fine, yeah. Based on the fucking average ratings of this match. Yeah, that's perfect. But it is, of course, LA Knight, yeah, who qualifies for Money in the Bank. He defeats both Angel Garza and Damian Priest in the triple threat match. The finish, I imagine, is Garza's on the outside. He hits some move on Priest. Maybe like sends him down. And then he goes under the ring to get a weapon. But then as he grabs a chair from under the ring, he pulls it. He tries to pull it, but like it gets stuck. And then when he finally pulls it all the way out, Dexter Lumis is grabbing onto the other end, and he sort of like crawls out in like Dexter Lumis manner. And of course, this Garza's like, "What the fuck? What are you doing here? You know, I thought I got rid of you last week." And then Garza spooked into the ring, but he turns around, he gets hit with that BFT, and LA Knight picks up the win. 82 for LA Knight, 80 for Garza, 81 for Priest. So yeah, perfectly average. 82 is perfectly fine there. And LA Knight joins Grayson Waller and Shinsuke Nakamura as the third member of so far confirmed for Money in the Bank. We're going to find out the fourth man confirmed when Mustafa Ali, Bronson Steiner, and Nathan Fraser go at it later on tonight. But for now, the megastar on his way to London, and he's going to let us know that, because he's going to take the mic after the match. He's going to go, "See? Let me talk to you, because this is what I was trying to tell you for the past few months, okay? Ever since WrestleMania, ever since the World Heavyweight Championship was moved over to this show, there's been a vendetta, because the gods seem to not want L.A. Knight to be the World Heavyweight Champion. Well, let me tell you, that ain't how it's going to go down like that, because I'm going to Money in the Bank. I'm climbing that ladder in London, the stairway to heaven, and I'm grabbing up and I'm pulling down that Money in the Bank briefcase as London Tottenham Hotspur Stadium goes crazy, and they say the winner and new Mr. Money in the Bank, and 80,000 people will be saying, L.A. Knight, yeah." We then cut backstage, and it's Shida and Liv. Shida like approaches Liv. She's like, "Hey, you know, you've not been returning my calls since Starcade. You know what's up?" She's like, "What's up? Like, you know what's up, okay? Listen, if you had a problem with me stepping up into the singles division after we lost the tag title, you should have just come and told me." And she's like, "What?" It's like, "Oh, this wasn't what I did. I'm sorry for Starcade, okay? Yes, how do I make it up to you? How do I prove to you that it was an accident?" And Liv's like, "An accident, huh? Okay, yeah, you see, are you just trying to take advantage of me? You know I've been through stuff like this before, so you're trying to weasel me in, and before you break my heart? Is that what this is?" She's like, "No, I fucked up. I'm sorry." And Liv's like, yeah, you did." And then Tiffany says, "Oh, excuse me." I imagine that's like a camera that's like stationed like next to Liv. Like, it's not a part of the Liv and Cheetah segment. It's just there. It's Chekhov's camera. And Tiffany comes and walks up, like, "Excuse me, is anyone using that?" And Liv's like, "No." And Tiff's like, Great. Because I'm sure you heard that tonight I'm going to get the chance of a Tiffy lifetime when I qualify for the Money in the Bank ladder match." And then Liv's like, "Okay, why do I care?" It's like, "Because you want to be the Women's World Champion, and when I go to Money in the Bank, I climb that ladder right to the Tiffy top and I pull down that briefcase. I'm going to be the World Champion, not you. Okay, and this is going to be a moment so historic that it has to be documented with
so many cameras because Esteban here, the camera guy, he's not that great. So tonight we're going to get more cameramen and more paparazzi out there as I do my thing and cement this as my division. And then she walks off with, she's like, come on, we need to go find more camera people. And then Liv and she just sort of look at each other before Liv just gets up and walks away. I imagine that would be like the final segment before an ad break. And like we come back from the ad break and Candice is in the ring. And she's like, oh, you know, I've never been out here with a microphone in my hand so often in my career. But, you know, I started to come out, you know, Starrcade was a great event from all of us here in WWE, both on Raw and SmackDown. And to be able to go out there and make the first defense of my Women's World Championship, you know, to be documented in history as the first woman, not only the first champion, but I also made the first defense, you know, that's something that I can take with me for the rest of my life and say that I made it here. But, you know, the grind don't stop when you're the champion. And anybody back there who thinks they're going to get a shot at this, because I know Money in the Bank's coming up, I'm going to be looking over my shoulder, got to be on my toes at all times. So, why not, you know, steer into the skid and call out any woman in the back who wants to be the next Women's World Champion.
Watch me.
Outstorms Liv. And she's like, okay, Candice, come on. Like, I love you. Like, I respect the hell out of you. But, come on now, girl. And she's like, what? She's like, come on, you can't be content with this. Okay? You can't be. Okay, you're better than that. And Candice is like, wow, is this about Starrcade? Because, like, I was going to come and say, you know, like, sure, I beat you, but that didn't really feel like it ended things definitively between me and you, because... And Liv's like, yeah, because I got screwed, that's why. Okay, so how about if you're a real fighting champion, you put that title on the line against me tonight, right now. Out comes Shida. He's like, Liv. Come on, you know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cost you your title match. Liv goes, look, listen you, okay, I thought we were friends. And she's like, we are. And Liv's like, well, if we were really friends, you wouldn't go up there and get jealous of me and cost me my opportunity at the Women's Championship, now would you? You'd have stayed in the back and had my back from afar because you'd had that faith in your friend, okay? She's just like, okay, yes. Again, I apologize, I'm sorry. Like, how can I make it up to you? And Liv's like, well, when I get my championship match next week, I don't want you anywhere out there. And then Candice's like, whoa. You know, Liv, I mean, come on. And Liv's like, what? Come on, you're being harsh on Shida. You know? I can tell that... I consider myself a good judge of character. I can tell she's genuinely sorry about how things went down at Starrcade. I was like, yeah, she should be. But she's going to be even more sorry once I win the championship, and she's going to have to sit back and be jealous of me. And she just like, well, if... I don't see why, if you were the former tag team champion and you got a title match and you lost, shouldn't I also get a championship match? I was like, oh, here we go. Okay, now it all comes out. Okay, you see, jealousy. You were jealous of me getting the title match because you wanted the title match. And now you screwed me out of the title match. Now you're trying to weasel your way into a title match. She's like, no, I just think it's only fair if we both get title shots, you know? If you couldn't bring it home, I can. And he goes, I could bring it home. But because of you, I don't have the damn championship. You know what? Fine. You want the damn championship match next week so badly? Take it. And Liv storms out. She's like, I mean, sure. I mean, I'll have the title match, but come on now. What's happening here? And then, yeah. So I guess, question mark? It's confirmed with a question mark that Candice will defend against Hikaru Shida next week. Maybe. And then come back to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And Kev, you know, he's bit annoyed after Starrcade. I imagine he's like punching a locker or some shit. Just generally frustrated. Because Kev, okay, calm down. Like, I know you've got a bit of a temper, but listen. Starrcade, it wasn't our night. Okay? Last week I got beat by Trick. Sunday you got beat by Carmelo. It wasn't our night. But, you know, I feel like recently, our strengths here in WWE have been together. Okay, we came together, we beat Adam Cole and the Paragon, you know, nobody else had ever done that. We've been flying high in this tag team division. So while you may not have won the World Heavyweight Championship, which yes, does suck, there are plenty more titles out there for grabs. And what's one championship, Kev, that you've never won here in WWE? And Kev's like, I've never been a tag team champion. So I'm like, exactly. Maybe fate is pulling us in one direction and we're trying to steer away from it when we should be steering towards it. Okay, Daniel Bryan and Cesaro have a tag team championship match tonight. That is what we should be keeping our eye on, Kev. And Kev's like, huh, you do make some good points, you know. A tag team run would be kind of based. He was also a real star in the segment. He did a great job of improvising with the crowd. 78 for Kyrie versus Tiffany Stratton. I take that. Yeah, Tiffany does come out. She's got like 3 camera women behind her. Yeah. And like, because this is a big match for Tiff, you know. It's going to be banger. She can finally cement her spot in Money in the Bank on all that shit. But then, in the end, she gets cut off with a big spear. Intercepted by Kyrie. And Tiffany's like in pain. And as Kyrie goes to go up top, she goes to deliver that insane elbow. You see Mariah May jump on the apron on the other side of the ring. And the referee's obviously distracted by this. But then as Kyrie goes to like hit the insane elbow, one of the camera women who came out with Tiffany jumps on the apron and twats Kyrie with her camera, knocking her to the floor. And Tiffany, of course, takes advantage of this, hits that PME, and scores the 1-2-3, pinning Kyrie Sane via camera shot to send her to Money in the Bank at the expense of the former SmackDown Women's Champion. 42 for Tiffany, 86 for Kyrie. And yeah, Tiffany Stratton will now join Zelina Vega and Roxy Perez in Money in the Bank. And then, of course, the camera woman who's wearing, like, imagine a hood to hide her identity reveals she is Cammy. Cammy with a C-A-M because Cam-me. Okay. And then after that, he goes, oh, Kyrie, you didn't think this was over, did you? You see, it would be typical Kyrie, you know, to score one lucky victory and then run away as if she was better than EO, because she knows that if she has to try yet again, she'd get embarrassed by the real greatest women's wrestler of all time. But I imagine EO jumps out from like the crowd with a kendo stick and a steel chair, and she gets to the ring. She imagine she puts the chair down like over Kyrie, like to sit on it. So the situation is that Kyrie's laid out, Io's put the chair, like, sat down over the top of her, and she sat on the chair. And then Cammy's like, why do we say, if you're not a coward, Kyrie, you know, you've won one, Io's won one. How about we end this the right way? You and Io one final time in 2 weeks in London at Money in the Bank. And then Io, I imagine, takes the kendo stick she's holding and like rams it into Kyrie's throat. She's like screaming at her in Japanese, like as she like rams the kendo stick into Kyrie's throat. And then Cammy's like listening into the show and she's like, oh, that's a great idea, you know. What Io says, ladies and gentlemen, is that we should up the ante, you know. Because this can't go on forever, you know. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, their thing couldn't go on forever either. So how about we make this interesting? How about we make this a weaponized steel cage match? And not only will it be a weaponized steel cage match, but Kyrie, the loser, which will be you, leaves SmackDown. And then, like, imagine referees and roadies and shit trying to pull Io off as she rams that kendo stick in Kyrie's throat. Like, they pull her off. And, of course, Kyrie's selling this like death. And Kyrie's like, oh, I understand that you're not exactly in the best frame to answer that challenge right now, because I don't even know if you can speak, let's be real. But, hey, we've got time, we've got 2 weeks, let us up any other point then, okay, princess. And then, when can we walk out as doctors check on Kyrie's throat. And then see Angelo Dawkins. He's watching Raw, like a recap of Raw, and he sees Montez Ford's loss in the qualifier. And he's like, Tez, I appreciate the guts of him, as my former partner, I'm still going to be cheering for that man from afar. I appreciate the guts from him and how his desire to be in Money in the Bank, but unfortunately it looks like Tez ain't going to make it. But the Street Profits, they'll be represented in Money in the Bank one way or the other. He turns to the camera, he's like, Buddy, Bloody Murphy, you think you're coming over to SmackDown? You're going to be the breakout star over here on SmackDown? I heard that ain't happening, fam. This is Angelo Dawkins' time to shine. And next week, I'll beat you, and I'm going to punch my ticket to Money in the Bank. So yeah, there's the other singles match. We've got the two Money in the Bank qualifiers next week will both be singles matches. It's Ilya Dragunov against Karrion Kross, and then Angelo Dawkins against Buddy Bloody Murphy. We then see Indy Hartwell and Sanga backstage. And Sanga's getting ready for his match with Omos. And Indy goes, look, I know it's going to be weird. You're going to be wrestling a guy that you have to look up at. Because, that doesn't normally happen to you. But I see what Bivens is trying to do, okay? He's trying to get in your head. He's trying to persuade you to come over to his side. And don't do it. Okay? Don't do it, Sanga. You're better than that. You're a good man. You're a good man. You don't need to stoop to the lows that Bivens is trying to force you to stoop to. You don't have to be like them. Okay, be your own man. Make your own decisions. Not a decision that you feel you're being pressured into making. Sanga goes, I appreciate it. Tonight, I beat Omos. And I prove that my way is the right way. 69, can't really expect much from this. It goes 4 minutes. It's Omos versus Sanga. And yeah, it is Omos who picks up the win in 3 minutes 44 with a chokeslam. 76 for Omos, 41 for Sanga. Yeah, that's actually not too shabby, yeah. I was going to say it's not that bad, then I paused, and I was like, actually, is it? But no, looking at the ratings and who's in the ring, it's not. It's genuinely not. Okay? I was expecting, a 40. But after the match, Omos goes to pick up Sanga. And, he goes to deliver another double chokeslam on him, but then Veer gets in the way. And Veer, shoves off Sanga. Or shoves off Omos and Sanga. And then he backs into the corner. And he goes to deliver that $1 million arm clothesline. And Indy Hartwell runs out. And she's like, no. She gets in the bitch, stop. Stop, okay? You're done, okay? We get it. You won. Leave him alone. And Sanga, he sort of looks up at Indy. Then looks across at Veer. He gets up. And he gets in the face of Veer. And Veer sort of smiles at him. And then Sanga drops to a knee. And he's like, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. And then Indy's like, what? What are you doing? And then Sanga looks back, he's like, it's for your own good. Focus on yourself. And Bivens is like, yes, okay, we got him. We got him, baby, we got him, okay? And then Sanga leaves with Omos and Veer. And Indy's like, what's happening? I feel betrayed. But also, he nobly sacrificed himself. I don't know what to feel. We then see Florence backstage. We saw Bayley earlier on, so only thing we see her. And she's chatting with Killer Kelly and Lyra, her partners from last week. And she's like, big win last week against Damage Control. You two are really hitting off as a team, I feel. And, us as a trio, we proved that we're better than Damage Control. So, tonight when I beat Bayley once again, I'm going to be in Money in the Bank. And then you two should get yourselves really kicking on SmackDown here. Because you both got a lot of potential. Let me hear, that's so cute. She thinks they've got a lot of potential, girls. And it's Bayley and Dakota and Cora. Okay, look, listen, dummy, okay. last week you only beat us because we weren't prepared for these two. Okay. I know we had 4 days, but I've got a busy schedule, okay? But tonight, I've got the chance to shut your stupid idiot head up. And I'm going to do just that. Because I am a former Money in the Bank winner. I am a former SmackDown Women's Champion. A former Raw Women's Champion. What are you? Okay, you've done nothing here. You've won, what, a Battle Royal? Okay, ding dong. That doesn't make you a main eventer around here. That makes you a flash in the pan. That's exactly what you are. And I proved that tonight when I beat you. And next week, Dakota, she's going to beat Bird Girl here. And Cora, she's going to beat Redhead Girl here. And they're like, whoa, but no. They're like, what do you mean no? I was like, Kelly's not in a Money in the Bank qualifier next week against Cora. Okay, yeah, Dakota's fighting Lyra, but Kelly's not in. But he's like, well, because you're a big idiot loser, that's why you're not in, okay? Because Pierce knows you're not good enough. And Cora's like, well, then who am I beating next week? And Florence just looks behind him and goes, huh. And then, of course, Cora turns around and Utami stood there. She's like, see you next week. And all of a sudden, Cora's like, okay. So yeah, there are next week's women's Money in the Bank qualifier matches. Lyra Valkyria against Dakota Kai and Cora Jade against Utami Hayashishita. Boom, boom. We then cut back to Liv and Shida. And Shida catches up to Liv again. She's like, Liv. She's like, what? Okay, did you not get what you want? Okay, you've got a title match next week. That's clearly what you want. That's the only reason you are my friend ever, okay? And she's like, listen, look. I know you're still hurting because you've had friends turn on you in the past. And you felt like people had taken advantage of you. So I understand that you're worried that I'm going to do the same. But you're worried for nothing, okay? I didn't want this title match. You're the one who gave it to me. But next week I am going to win that championship. And guess who the first person I'm going to defend the title is against? You. Because Liv, you're my friend. And you deserve a title shot just as much as I do. And Liv's like, you may be right about me, being a little bit hesitant to who I call my friends. And that's why next week you can do this by yourself. And Liv walks off and she's like, okay, fine. I've got enough faith in myself to beat Candice alone. 79. All in all, that's not awful. But, yeah, of course, Bronson Steiner is the fourth man to enter Money in the Bank. He beats Nathan Fraser and Mustafa Ali. 14:35, he makes Mustafa Ali tap with that Steiner recliner. 75 for both Nathan Fraser and Mustafa Ali. And then an 80 for Bronson Steiner. That's, fine. We take those. But yeah, Bronson Steiner joins LA Knight, Grayson Waller, and Shinsuke Nakamura in the Money in the Bank ladder match. After the match, Big Papa Pump gets on the mic and goes, that's it. This is the future of the Steiner dynasty. This is the future world heavyweight champion. And we're going to prove that in 2 weeks' time when my boy, my little nephew, Bronson Steiner, goes to London, England, and he pulls that briefcase down. And he becomes Mr. Money in the Bank. And he beats up whatever world champion, whether it be stupid-ass Cody Rhodes or little boy Carmelo Hayes. My man Bronson Steiner's going to be the next champion. Something that his daddy should have been. Something his uncle was. And now prove it. Beat these little boys up, Scott or Bronson. And then, of course, Bronson and Steiner would lock. I imagine he'd stack Fraser on top of Mustafa Ali. And then lock them in the Steiner recliner both at the same time. And then I do the referees rushing out a lot. I already did it with EO on this show, so I'm probably going to, Actually, no, let's do it again. It's not one of those spots I'm like, oh, I don't want to overdo it, because then you'd get asked, well, why did they run out to help EO or help Kyrie and not these two? So yeah, for consistency's sake, the referees look consistent. They can run out and try and break it up. But then Bronson would just drop him and leave at his own accord. He's got what he wanted. He's kicked ass and he's in Money in the Bank. Hit Row are then chilling again in their studio. And Swerve's like, that wouldn't be another big fat W in the column for Hit Row and for Swerve Scott, would it? Okay, last week, Damian Priest was a tough challenge, but
ain't nothing tougher than a Swerve Scott stomp right to the dome. And I see Money in the Bank's coming up, and apparently I'm not in it. Okay, take that one up with Pierce. Is it because I'm the champion? I don't know. I could have sworn the champs were in it last year. Nonetheless, I've beaten all there is to beat here on SmackDown. Riddle, beat him. Priest, beat him. Warden, beat him. It's time for a celebratory cipher, y'all. So join us, Hit Row, next week for the hardest bars of the summer. We then see Thea Hale. She's watching her match last week against Alba Fire. And how she beat her with the sharpshooter. She's like taking notes. She's like scribbling down like at lightning speed and turning the pages like every 5 seconds. She's like taking her notes. And then I imagine the comical Shelby, we look over her shoulder and she like we look at the note she's taken. It's just a bunch of scribbles, but she looks at it and she can understand it. It's like, okay, yes, I've got it all. Okay, Mr. Chase, I think I'm ready. She turns around, there's nobody in. Chase, you horse. She's like, Mr. Chase? Bodie? Shane? Haley? Anybody? And then she sees the classroom. She opens the classroom door, she's like, Mr. And then smoke starts rising up. And she, like, takes it in, she's like, Mr. Chase, I don't feel so good. And she collapses on the floor. And we hear, just off camera, we hear the laughter of what sounds to be two Scottish witches giggling. Who could those voices belong to? 92. I knew I should have put this in last. 92 for the SmackDown Tag Team title match. It is, of course, Daniel Bryan and Cesaro who retain. They beat Emerson Frost and Ken Cobain. #bars. 16 minutes and 3 seconds when Cesaro submits Ken Cobain with a sharpshooter. Cesaro and Bryan make defense number 3 of the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Emerson Frost with a 75. Ken Cobain gets an 82. A 95 for Daniel Bryan and a 92 for Cesaro. So yeah, that was a banger of a SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. And the reign rolls on for Bryan and Cesaro. Who knows who's next? Although, I might have a pretty good idea. Speaking of next, we've got next week's episode of SmackDown, and it is a big one because, as we've heard throughout the night, it is now officially official. Next week, Candice LeRae will make the next defense of the Women's World Championship when she takes on Hikaru Shida in singles action. And we also heard from another champion, that being the United States champion Swerve Scott, that next week Hit Row are back and they're dropping a cipher on, SmackDown's division and the lack of competition for the United States champion. But moving on from that, we have more qualifiers for Money in the Bank, starting with the other two members of Damage Control hoping to join Bayley, who wrestles in the main event tonight. The first being Utami Hayashishita, bouncing back off her loss to Candice LeRae at Judgment Day, will take on Cora Jade, the former Women's Liberty Champion, for a spot in that match. And the other women's qualifier, which will determine what will be at the time the final competitor in the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, Dakota Kai, takes on Lyra Valkyria. And then on the men's side, we've got two big matches as we heard earlier on tonight. Ilya Dragunov takes on the man, the personification of this cruel plastic world, Karrion Kross. And Angelo Dawkins looks to do what his former tag team partner couldn't do, and that's qualify for Money in the Bank when he takes on Buddy Bloody Murphy, a former Money in the Bank holder himself. He didn't win a ladder match, but did hold the briefcase. But then moving on to the event itself, as we heard announced earlier on tonight, Carmelo Hayes will defend the World Heavyweight Championship against his challenger, Seth freaking Rollins, the man who he stopped winning Money in the Bank last year. And then we move on to the Money in the Bank ladder match itself. We've got two more confirmed men here tonight, to go along with Grayson Waller and Shinsuke Nakamura from Raw. Bronson Steiner and LA Knight join the field, and they're going to find out the fourth woman in our main event tonight. But we do know Tiffany Stratton has entered alongside the Liberty Champion Roxy Perez and Zelina Vega, with either Florence or Bayley set to join them in just moments. 84. That's not terrible.
But the winner and the woman advancing to Money in the Bank in London is Florence. She defeats Bayley in 13:59 with a rain flow. Both women score an 81. And yeah, Bayley's quest to get every member of Damage Control in the ladder match is already off to a bad start because she herself couldn't get in. And yeah, big win for Florence. She joins Tiffany, Zelina, and Roxy in Money in the Bank. I believe that's 4 new women in the match. 4 women who have not been in the match before in this world, anyway. I can't remember if Florence debuted in time to get in the match last year. I don't think she did. But yeah. 90 rated show. I should have made it with a tag title match. Doesn't make that much of a difference. Still a good show. And yeah, we move on from that to this week's episode of Velocity. A big episode of Velocity here. Kicks off with Rey Mysterio on the mic. And he's addressing, the fallout of Starrcade. And how he ran it back one final time with an old foe of his, Juventud Guerrera. How the match was great, turned back to the hands of time like it was the 90s yet again. Then that aftermath was ruined by his damn son, Dominik, getting involved. And how, that ruined the entire moment of the match. And then out come Anthony Nese and Dominik. And Anthony Nese is like, Ray, you're giving it a lot of talk, for somebody who, is such a deadbeat dad, excuse of a father. You can't be surprised that your son hasn't let go. He's got 20 years of built-up frustration to get in at you. And not only that, but you also still have his championship that you haven't given him a rematch for. And so, if you want to try and defend and duck and run back, hoovy, all you want, well, I'm making no mistakes about it. The line starts and ends with the new face of cruiserweight wrestling right here. Ray's like, well, I'm pretty sure I've got some friends who have got some issues to pick with you as well, son. Then out come Hoovy, Psychosis, and Super Crazy, 4-on-2. Actually, no, it's 4-on-3, because I imagine Archer Wakefield is out there as well of the Nice business. The Daivaris aren't, for one reason, the only reason being, I don't need them. Because it's 4-on-3, the Nice members are outnumbered. When in-fly scripts, he takes out Rey Mysterio. And yeah, we get our tag team main event set up tonight. It's going to be Rey Mysterio and the Mexicools taking on Anthony Nese, Dominik Mysterio, Archer Wakefield, and Scripts. The match gets a 51. That's even better than last time. 51 with the dings of them not caring about the match is actually really good. If this match had had popularity, then this match would have been even better. But RKJ defeats Axiom in 12 minutes and 7 seconds with a 450 splash. I decided randomly that I was going to turn this into a best of 3 series. So yeah, Axiom won last week, RKJ wins this week. And yeah, 62 for RKJ, 53 for Axiom. So yeah, they're one apiece. So look for a rubber match between these two men at some point. Probably, actually, not next week, but the week after, because that would be the SmackDown that would be taking place in London, and this would be taped after that, so then that would be happening in London, so it'll probably be happening in 2 weeks' time, the third match of this series. Then get an 82 rated tag team match here that serves a lot of purposes. Well, 2 purposes. The first is to give Evan Bourne, Ty Marley, and Toby Marley a win when they defeat the Thatcher, Lorcan, and Gulak trio, when Evan Bourne pins Timothy Thatcher with the Airborne in 10 minutes and 46. Toby Marley gets a 49, Ty gets a... I assume Ty is Dante? Yeah. Ty gets a 64, a 63 for Evan Bourne, a 68 for Lorcan, a 92 for Gulak, and a 75 for Timothy Thatcher. After the match, Thatcher's getting to his feet, and Ernie and Drew are helping him up. And he's like, back to square one, as your coach, we've got to get back to work so you win next time. And Ernie's like, Coach? What do you mean, Coach? You're the one who loses this flipping match for us, huh? You're the one who gets your ass kicked. Me and Drew, we kick ass. And Timothy Thatcher's like, look, I get it, but, maybe if we go back to basics, we can start picking up wins again. And that's when Timothy Thatcher is jumped from behind by a man we haven't seen before on Velocity, but a new member of the Velocity roster. One Mr. Dante Rios. And him, Gulak and Lorcan jump Timothy Thatcher. And yeah, Dante Rios locks him in that submission hold, and then Thatcher passes out. So Drew Gulak and Lorcan have replaced Timothy Thatcher in this group with Dante Rios, which itself also serves two purposes. The first is I want to get some youth flair in here. And obviously Dante Rios, Daniel Garcia, I felt fit perfectly. Because I had him in NXT, and I was like, yeah, I'll build him up in terms of velocity, and then maybe draft him to Raw or SmackDown in a year or two, and he'll be ready. And I need to get Thatcher out of this group, because Thatcher is going to AEW. Because his contract came up, and AEW bidded on him, and he's going there. So I need to write him off. So say goodbye to Timothy Thatcher and hello to Dante Rios, basically. I think I'm, in terms of longevity, won that trade. They're probably about the same in ring. I'm not like one of these people that's like Daniel Garcia is like a mega star. So like he's just a good hand. So that's why he's on Velocity for now. Maybe he'll be able to Raw or SmackDown eventually, but like he's not going to immediately get thrust into the world title picture. Because I just don't see him as that guy, at least right now. I know that's weird, considering, there's a former world champion in this group, but yeah, that was a challenge. 68, fine. I need a short match just to, fill time, and Cruz del Toro beats Charlie Dempsey in 6 minutes. Cruz is currently technically a solo star because Joaquin's injured. That's technically him, Andrade, Ray, and Zelina are all technically single stars in the LWO, and Santos, who's on a different brand. 71 for Cruz, though, and a 43 for Charlie. So 68 is actually pretty decent. And then our main event here gets us a 73, considering the Mexicals are in it, and Scripps is in it, and Archer Wakefield's in it. I'll take that. But it is the heel team who pick up the win when Scripps pins Psychosis. 51 for Hoovy, 46 for Super Crazy, 42 for Psychosis, 74 for Ray, 66 for Scripps, 59 for Archer Wakefield, 79 for Anthony Nese, and a 77 for Dominik. And yeah, Scripps pins Psychosis, he gets the win, and he leaves a calling card on the Cruiserweight Championship. So you clearly know who's next in line for Rey Mysterio's title. The man formerly known as Mr. Reggie himself, Scripps. And that ends what could possibly be the most, actual newsworthy story progressing Velocity I've ever booked. Yeah. What matters is more is what you thought of SmackDown. So let me know what you thought in the comments below, and I'll see you next time for week 2 of June, episode of Raw, where we will finalise the Raw side of the Money in the Bank ladder matches. See you then.